January. A time of frosty mornings and quiet solitude after all the indulgence and revelry of the festive season. A time to reflect and make plans for the year ahead. And if you hate yourself enough, a time to give up drinking and turn vegan for a month so you can virtue signal about it on social media. Well, just know that I'll be eating twice as much red meat and drinking twice as much booze this month to balance out the scales of cosmic harmony. But it's also a month when, how can I put this, not a whole lot is happening in the world of movie making. I mean, sure, I could watch a 200-year-old Nicole Kidman getting fingered for a couple of hours. Or the autobiography of a middle-aged and mostly irrelevant pop star told through the medium of a CGI monkey, but I'll be honest here, I'd rather perform a frontal lobotomy on myself with my dad's cordless drill. But one advantage of being stuck in the middle of that bleakest and most depressing of months is that it gives me some time to catch up on stuff that I didn't have the time to look at before. And one of those things is Disney's Mufasa, a prequel to a remake of an animated movie from 30 years ago. And if that all sounds like a tortuous justification for a soulless cash grab spin-off, then buckle up boyo because you ain't seen nothing yet. Mufasa is pretty much a microcosm of everything that's wrong with modern Disney, a pointless and creatively bankrupt project commissioned for no other reason than to squeeze a bit more cash out of the Lion King IP, telling a story that nobody needed or asked for, infused with all the usual insufferable tropes designed to appeal to modern audiences, and hammered home with blank, soulless CGI characters that inspired all the emotional attachment of a cheese sandwich. The movie begins in what I guess you could call the present day, where Simba is now king of Africa or whatever, and him and his wife head off to have a baby. So he leaves Timon and Pumbaa, who are a couple of absolute fannies in this movie, to look after his daughter Kiara. Then the baboon thing shows up and starts spouting some bullshit about Mufasa's life story so that the rest of the plot can happen. Oh, and in case you're wondering, yes, all of this stuff in the present day is completely irrelevant to the actual story and exists purely to pad out the film's runtime. I just thought I should set expectations there. Anyway, then the real movie begins with Mufasa and his parents on their way to some magical bullshit land called Malele or something. See, it turns out that Mufasa wasn't actually born to be a king, he was just some random nobody from a tribe of wandering hobo lions who didn't even have their own territory. Anyway, then a flood hits them and he gets separated from his parents and almost killed by some crocodiles until another lion named Taka helps to rescue him. Taka's mum wants to adopt him into their pride, but her husband King Obasi wants to fucking eat him.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
So they decide to have a race to settle it, and Taka lets Mufasa win so that he can join the pride. But Obasi's still not happy with this, so he forces Mufasa to live with the female lions instead as a punishment. But that actually works to his advantage because it turns out that the females do all of the hunting, hard work, and are generally the bestest at everything, while the males just kind of laze around all day taking all the credit and are lazy, complacent, and arrogant. As a result, Mufasa becomes a strong and brave hunter who respects women, while Taka becomes entitled, jealous, and cowardly. Are you getting this film's subtle messaging yet? By the way, I'd like to point out the complete misconception that real-life female lions do all the hunting while the males stay at home with the cubs and laze around all day. In reality, male lions regularly hunt both individually and in groups, and they're the only members of a pride that are actually capable of bringing down large prey like buffalo and hippos. But hey, why let actual reality get in the way of the message? Anyway, one day Mufasa and the Queen are attacked by a pair of white supremacist lions, and end up killing one of them in self-defense. Oh yeah, and Taka runs away because he's a little bitch who got raised by men. This prompts a full-scale retaliation by the white supremacist lions because it turns out the one they killed was also the son of their leader, and they kill everyone except Mufasa and Taka who manage to escape. Then they run into strong female love interest and the baboon thing who are all conveniently headed for the magical bullshit land from the start of the movie so that the rest of the plot can happen. Taka soon falls in love with strong female love interest, and I'm not kidding, there's a bit where Taka asks Mufasa for advice on chatting her up, and Mufasa tells him that he should just listen to her because male lions totally don't do that enough and female lions are really awesome and deserve more respect. Are you getting the film's subtle messaging yet? Anyway, it turns out that she's more interested in male feminist Mufasa, which causes Taka to fly into an incel rage, and when he accidentally runs into the white supremacist lions, he offers to betray Mufasa to them. And instead of killing him, they just immediately trust and believe him, because why not, right? Anyway, so Taka leads the white supremacist lions to the magical bullshit land, and then there's a big fight and Mufasa almost gets killed, but then Taka has a change of heart and helps him out. But during the fighting, he gets hit in the face and ends up with a big old scar. Anyway, Mufasa delivers a big speech to all of the other animals to help him fight off the white supremacist lions, and for some reason they all agree to help him. What the fuck? You have never even met this guy before, and after one little speech you're willing to not just accept him as your leader, but to fight and die for him as well? Like, why? He's a fucking lion. Most of you are nothing but food to him. Like, when this is all over and he gets hungry for his next meal, where do you think he's gonna turn his attention? Oh fuck it, let's just keep going. Then there's a convenient earthquake which causes the mountain to collapse and form itself into the shape of Pride Rock. That's right, even Pride Rock gets an origin story in this movie.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
And they defeat the white supremacist lions, and Mufasa gets hailed as the new king, even though he totally doesn't want the job because all animals deserve to be equal, comrades. Then Taka's like, sorry about the whole betrayal and almost killing everyone thing, bro. Call me Scar now as punishment. Wait a minute. Scar?
Oh my god!
Then Mufasa's mum conveniently shows up again because it turns out that she survived the floods. Wow, that was lucky. But do you know who didn't survive? His dad. I guess all that toxic masculinity must have got the better of him. Anyway, then the story skips back to the present day and Simba's now a dad for the second time, and his daughter summons up her inner girl boss and roars on Pride Rock, and that's it. That's the movie over. You know, the question I often find myself asking after watching so many films today is, what was the point in that? Like, in Mufasa's case, I think it's fair to say there was no real artistic or storytelling reason for making this film. Nobody was crying out to learn the backstory of a character who died in like the first 30 minutes of the original movie, and I'm pretty sure the writers at Disney weren't exactly busting a gut to tell this story either. It was a film made out of pure financial necessity because the Lion King remake made like a shit zillion dollars, regardless of its actual merit. And someone took a look at that end of year profit and loss spreadsheet and decided this was a profitable use of resources. We should implement another project of a similar nature to make even more money. I say this because once you realise that this was a movie made out of necessity rather than desire, a lot of the creative decisions that went into it begin to make a lot more sense. The constant callbacks to the original, replicating scenes and characters and actions that everyone's seen before. The framing device of Simba's daughter with Timon and Pumbaa in the present day to remind you of characters and events from other better movies. The constant and not so subtle female empowerment messages that are mandatory additions to every Disney project these days, where the females are simultaneously strong, empowered and amazing at everything, but also oppressed, downtrodden and underappreciated. And males are either corrupt, lazy and cowardly, or in the rare cases where they're allowed to do something good, are only empowered to do it because a female character set them on the right path. That aside, the same problems that dogged the Lion King remake also rear their ugly head here, and I'm talking ugly. The fact that photorealistic CGI animals with their blank expressionless faces don't really lend themselves to the kind of heavy, humanistic drama that the script demands of them, and no amount of shitty sing-along song and dance numbers are gonna change that. The voice cast certainly tries their best, but I'm sorry, Aaron Pierre is never gonna measure up to James Earl Jones as Mufasa, and Kelvin Harrison is no match for Jeremy Irons as Scar. Maz Mikkelsen is completely wasted as the leader of the white supremacist lions. He's a boring and one-dimensional character and he's got no real charisma or interest about him. Honestly, the worst thing to ever happen to that guy was playing one really interesting complex villain in Casino Royale, because it opened the floodgates to an endless stream of shitty copycat roles trying and failing to replicate that success. Oh yeah, and then there's Seth Rogen and Billy Eichner, basically the twin lords of unfunny bullshit mountain, who seem to be locked in a bitter competition to see who can make you want to gouge your own eyes out with a rusty spoon first. Honestly, I can't tell which actor spells doom for a production more quickly, Seth Rogen or Jack Black. By all accounts, the director Barry Jenkins had a pretty shit time making this movie, and quite frankly, I sympathise because I had a shit time watching it. It really is everything wrong with modern movies in general, and the scourge of the Disney live-action remakes in particular. A pointless, soulless, tedious piece of content that nobody wanted or asked for, that made barely a third of what its predecessor did, and ultimately failed to justify its own reason for even existing. Please, for the love of God, stop making Lion King spin-offs. You've milked it to death already. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.